All right, you're watching the Arise News channel coverage live in Alaska for the Trump and Putin meeting. Of course, President Trump and President Vladimir Putin of Russia have just met off their aircraft, and they just moved into that armored guarded a vehicle that will be taking both presidents to the venue of the meeting. This is quite historic. History's been made. This is the first time that President Vladimir Putin of Russia is meeting any president or leader from the Western Hemisphere since the war in Ukraine started. Now, this has been watched very closely around the world. What will be the outcome? First, what will be the discussions? According to President Trump, over the past few days, he said that everything is on the table. It will allow President Putin to talk. He wants to listen to President Putin and see what the decisions or the concessions, whatever will be, to end the war or at least secure a ceasefire in Ukraine. That's the objective of President Putin. Today, we've seen the global oil market prices going down because of hopes that there could be some peace deal secured by President Putin or President Trump with President Putin at this Alaska's historic summit. This is very important for the rest of the world. The war in Ukraine has been taking a major toll on the global trade. It's impacted the export of wheat. It's impacted oil. Of course, United States has sanctioned India and raising tariff on China as well, and vessels that take Russia's oil. So if a peace deal is achieved at this particular meeting, then of course we could see Russia bringing more oil into the market, and some of the tariff hits on India and China by President Trump could taper off, as it were. So the world is covering this. Arise News channel is on top of this as well. You're watching Alaska 2025. President Trump actually campaigned on the back of this. This is part of his campaign rhetoric when he was coming back into office for the second time, that is looking forward to a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. We've seen thousands and thousands of lives lost on both sides of the war. Is taking a toll on the economy of Ukraine and a dent also on Russia. There have been sanctions on certain individuals, government officials out of Russia. So it's been quite interesting times to see how President Trump he's now pulling this very major meeting, a summit off, as it were, like a chest out of the fire. And that is what President Trump seems to be doing. Remember, a few days ago this week, President Trump held a virtual meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine and some European leaders as well. So President Trump, of course, has listened to the European leaders on one side. Now it's time for him to listen to President Putin of Russia, to what he has to say and what concessions he's willing to make to bring an end to this very brutal war in Europe. And that is what this meeting is actually all about. So right now, we're seeing envoys from both countries, United States and Russia. Earlier today, Russia's foreign minister landed first before the arrival of President Putin to prepare the way to meet with the team of U.S. officials ahead of the arrival of both presidents. President Trump left Washington hours ago. Now you can see the Air Force One sitting on the tarmac there, of course, surrounded by fighter jets that are all surrounding the aircraft that brought aircraft that brought both presidents to this very particular location. If you piggyback a bit, remember a week or two ago when President Trump says this meeting will take place, the original location was initially thought to be somewhere in the Middle East or Doha or so, but that was later confirmed to be Alaska. So if you look at the location of this particular summit between President Trump and President Putin, is very strategic in terms of where it is, in terms of the geography, as it were. So this looks like a little bit of the backyard for Russia, as it were, and President Trump is ready to meet President Putin at this very particular location. Now, you're seeing the image coming through from where the meeting is expected to take place. What's called Pursuing Peace. Whatever the press briefing will be between both presidents, we'll wait and see. But of course, Arise News Channel will be covering this press briefing and this meeting as well throughout today and moving into the days ahead as well for this very historic event, the meeting between President Trump of the United States and Vladimir Putin of Russia in Alaska to end the war in Ukraine. You've been watching the Arise News Channel.